Okay, so posted a while back that I was working on recapping this Allen and Heath, Allen and Heath Spectrum. That's what I'm working on. It's an analog console that I bought. It's made in the early '90s. They do not make this anymore. Obviously, they don't make many analog consoles anymore of any brand. Recapping basically entails going through. I'm going to touch it with my hot soldering iron, and all of these polar capacitors, all of these electrolytics have to get changed out. So I've already done a couple on this board, as you can see, replacing these old blue caps with some new Nishikon polar caps. And to do this, it's kind of a labor-intensive process. Some people were just asking what it all entails. So I'll show you. I'm just going to do these two capacitors right down here real quick. C43, C44, they're both the same thing. 47 microfarad and 25 volt. That's what I have. 47 microfarad, 25 volt caps. And they are soldered. And if you just kind of flip the board over and match where they are, it looks like it's hard to see on my camera. They're here and here. This guy, these two. Each one has two little legs on it, the radial capacitors. The first thing to do, because this is an old piece of equipment and the solder's not super fresh and maybe doesn't have as much flux in it as it would if it were fresh, I'm just going to add a little solder. And I'm using my Echo, whatever you pronounce it, soldering iron. And I do this pretty hot. I do it about 725 degrees Fahrenheit because the purpose of that is I want to get in there quick, melt the solder, get it out before anything else has time to kind of melt or do anything weird. So I've got my 4 points that I did, and I just kind of in here. And this soldering sucker is pretty dirty. My solder vacuum, heat it up, pull it out. 1, heat it up till it's molten. 2, 3, and 4. So I can already tell I didn't get all the solder out on a couple of these legs. So, then I see this one's kind of loose here, this leg, that one's moving. So I still have to come in here and kind of heat it up. Hard to do this and keep it in the camera shot. But again, I'm not leaving this pen on here for too long. Just want to make sure I can get that sucker out. And that's my two little legs. 1. This one I can see this leg is loose already. I just got to heat up this one a little bit to get it freed up. All right. There we go. Easy peasy, they came out. I just want to be careful not to lift the pads. These ones actually came pretty clean. At this point, sometimes I might have to add a little bit more fresh solder in there, burn some in there and try to vacuum it out again. But this actually came pretty clean, so we'll see if this can stick through. So here's my replacement. They're actually larger. These are rated at a higher temp and higher. These are 105 degree capacitors, where those are only 85 degree. I don't know if that's the difference for the larger size of the brand. They're not that much bigger, but they do fit right in there, so it's all good. So here's my slots down here. The nice thing is that if I forget which way these are oriented, every single capacitor on this board is oriented the same way. So the negative is always facing towards me if I'm holding it like this, and the positive is facing away from me. So you notice it's not going in. There must just be a little tiny piece of solder in that hole blocking it. So I'll just heat up the pad just a tiny bit, and it slides right in there. These I get them pretty close. I don't want too much give in these. They're kind of all over the board, from the factory. Looks like I got some dust to clean out on this guy too. And this guy's the same value, so just grab another one out of the pile. There's a majority of the capacitors on this board are the same value. They're all these 47 microfarad. Heat up that pad to get it through. Get that in there, and I'm just going to kind of bend the legs so it stays in place when I flip the board. So now I've got my legs poking through here. Gonna grab my little solder here, and I try to keep my tip pretty clean. I use my little abrasive thing that comes with the Hakko iron, my little Scotchy Brite kind of thing, because I don't want any nastiness on there. And I just get a little dome of solder on there, make sure it gets on the pad and gets on the leg. Again, I don't want to heat this up too much. I don't want to melt this board at all. I did, on the first one that I did lift a pad or two on that one. Just trying to get too fast, pushing it or pulling it out. Lifted the pad, heating it up too much. And once I have it all done, I cut my legs off, and there we are. Pretty easy, not too bad of a job. Take a little time consuming. There's 30 of the 47 microfarad caps on this, and then a couple. There's 4 or 5 different. There's 34 total capacitors on this board. If I look up here, and then also on the input section, there's some more in there. So a little time consuming, but it'll be worth it in the end. I have recapped the power supply on that board, and I recapped 5 total channels so far, and they're absolutely quiet. They sound great, and I look forward to actually recording with them. So I'll be curious to hear how everything sounds on the recording. That's it.